Once upon a time in a quiet suburb outside Chicago, lived Emily Carter, a 42-year-old single mother, and her 20-year-old son, Michael Carter. Life hadn't been easy for Emily after her husband, Daniel, left them years ago. She had always managed to hold the family together, but inside, loneliness gnawed at her. One evening, when the house was unusually silent, Emily sat in the living room. The weight of her responsibilities suddenly overwhelmed her. Bills piled up on the table, and her mind raced with unanswered questions. How would she manage tuition for Michael? How would she pay the mortgage? The silence of the house pressed on her shoulders. Emily closed her eyes and began to whisper to herself, almost like a prayer. She muttered about her regrets, her struggles, and how much she missed having someone to lean on. To her, this was a moment of release, a private act of playing out her emotions, of letting her guard down. What she didn't know was that Michael had quietly walked in. Michael stood in the doorway, confused at first. He saw his mother, usually so strong, now breaking apart. His heart ached. He realized for the first time that she wasn't invincible, that she was human, fragile, and deeply hurting. "Mom," Michael's voice cracked as he stepped closer. Emily quickly wiped her tears, embarrassed to be caught in such a vulnerable state. "Michael, it's nothing. I'm fine," she insisted, though her voice trembled. But Michael shook his head. "You're not fine. You don't always have to be strong for me. Let me be strong for you this time." Those words pierced her heart. She had spent 2 decades protecting her son from pain, but now he was old enough to recognize hers. Slowly, Michael sat beside her, placing his hand gently on hers. From that night forward, something shifted in their relationship, not inappropriately, but profoundly. Emily allowed Michael to see her struggles, and Michael, in turn, became more responsible, more supportive, and more aware of the sacrifices she had made. They began sharing late-night talks. Emily told stories of her youth, of her dreams before motherhood consumed her life. Michael, in return, opened up about his fears of failing in college and not living up to her expectations. Weeks turned into months, and their bond deepened in the healthiest way possible. Emily no longer hid her tears when she felt weak, and Michael no longer pretended he didn't notice. Together, they formed a partnership rooted in empathy, not hierarchy. Then one day, life tested them again. Emily received a call from her employer. Her department was downsizing, and she had been laid off. She froze, terrified to tell Michael, knowing how fragile their financial balance was. That evening, she sat him down. "Michael, I lost my job today," she said, bracing for his disappointment. Instead, Michael surprised her. "Then it's my turn to step up," he said. "I'll work part-time while continuing school. We'll figure it out together." Emily broke down crying, not from despair, but from pride. For so long, she thought she had to carry the world alone, but now she realized she had raised a young man who could carry it with her. The following months were challenging, but with teamwork, they managed. Michael balanced his studies with a job at a local bookstore, while Emily pursued freelance work and eventually found a new career opportunity. Through every hardship, one truth remained. The night Michael found her breaking down was not a sign of weakness, but the beginning of a stronger bond. Emily discovered that showing vulnerability wasn't a failure, it was an act of trust. And Michael proved that love between mother and son could grow not just from protection, but from partnership and understanding. In the end, their story wasn't one of tragedy but of resilience. Emily once feared being alone, but she realized she never truly was. She had raised not just a son, but a companion in life's struggles, someone who would always stand beside her. That single night, when she thought she had lost control, turned out to be the moment she gained everything: a deeper connection, an unbreakable trust, and the realization that family means facing storms together.